This is Corey Lamley with Life in the Grid, and in this how-to video, we'll walk through how to easily create your own logo sting to make your videos more brand aware and professional. I ended up creating this video because I've been asked quite a few times how I do my video intros. The perception is that these are expensive and difficult to put together. However, the truth is they're relatively inexpensive and quite easy to generate. So let's dive in by checking out a quick example. So basically, I'm here on one of my go-to sites, videohive.net, and I'm going to go ahead and play one of these logo stings.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
That's what it is, just a quick little intro video that shows your logo with some fancy animations. Logo stings have been around for quite some time. However, recently they have become much more affordable for smaller businesses and even novices to create without much work. Basically, there are 3 steps to create the logo sting. The first step is to create the logo. The second is to choose your video template. The next is to produce the logo sting. Now let's go through each of these in detail. Creating your logo is one of the most important steps and one you should take your time with. Your logo is the face of your company and something you'll have to live with for a long time. There are basically 3 approaches to making a logo. The first approach is the do-it-yourself approach, or the free approach. So you can go out to a site like logoopenstock.com. Here they'll have quite a few free logos. You can sift through all the different logos, and then once you find the one that you want, you're going to click on the download link here, and you'll look for the free download. Next, you will also want to look at the download count. Be sure that the download count isn't too high. If you see something like 10,000, 20,000 downloads, then the chances of you running into this logo somewhere else are going to be quite a bit higher. You'll also want to pay attention to the license and the attribution of that license, because that's going to affect the way that you can use this particular image. So read each one of those items carefully. Now, I have already downloaded this particular logo to my hard drive, and what I can do is open it with Adobe Illustrator. Now, if you don't have Adobe Illustrator, you can use Inkscape, and that's a free program, so just Google Inkscape and then you can download that. However, before you use Inkscape, you're going to need to convert this AI file to a .pdf. So let's go ahead and convert this to a PDF just by renaming it. Now, this will allow us to open it in Inkscape. So let's come over here to Inkscape and open up this program. And what we will see is an import option. It's going to import the image. The image has been imported into Inkscape. We are just wanting to kind of get in and get out. So all we really want to do on here is just change this to my company and do the minor edits that we need to. Save it as a PD, or actually save it as a PNG or JPEG, or however you want to save it, and then your logo is ready to go. Now, I do caution one item when using Inkscape. A lot of these logos aren't quite as easy to use. So if you're going with the free approach, you might run into some obstacles, but of course using free sometimes isn't always the easiest. You could also look on Fiverr or maybe hire a designer if you really found one. However, the other approaches that I'm going to recommend will actually generate, in my opinion, a much higher quality product. So that is the first approach, which is the do-it-yourself approach. So the next approach that we're going to do here is the template approach, and this approach is quite simple. The workflow is pretty fast and it's relatively inexpensive. What you'll want to do is go out to a logo website. One of my go-to sites for this is graphicrivers.net. If you want to check out the show notes, I'll have some other logo sites on there. But what you want to do is find the logo category. It's over here on the right-hand side, and you'll see that there are literally thousands of logos to choose from. Now, before you choose the logo, you'll want to drill into the logo itself and make sure that this particular logo has a low purchase count. And basically, this is the same thing that we did with the free logos. We don't want to have a competing logo with 10,000 purchases. So keep this purchase count low. Now, one other thing that you're going to want to do for the logo is you're going to want to click on the designer's portfolio, and we can do that by looking for this section right here and then clicking on it. What this is it's a way for us to contact and evaluate this particular designer. Something we're going to want to look for before we even begin to contact this designer is look at the freelance section. And right here we see that he says that he's available. This means he's willing to do a little bit of work with us. What we can do here is send him an email, something similar to this, and we can say, "Hi, I love your logo. However, I don't own a copy of Adobe Illustrator. Would you be willing to edit this image for me and send me back a large 1920 by 1080 PNG of this file with my company's name? Thanks." Now, basically, the reason why we want a 1920 by 1080 PNG is so that we can scale this thing down and we can have many different versions of this logo, because you don't want them to send you a small little logo file, especially as a PNG, because when you try to blow this thing up, it's not going to look well. So be sure that the logo that they originally send you is large so that you don't have to contact the author again. Once this process is done, it's pretty clean and fast. So this is the template approach. So the last approach is the crowdsource approach. This approach is quite fun and it's really hard to walk away disappointed. What we're going to do here is we're going to go to a crowdsourcing site like 99 Designs. We would click on the Get Started Now button. We would find the logo design section. Then we would fill out their quick questionnaire. We would choose from some visual styles. Then we would choose a couple other properties. Then we've got a couple other steps that we'd fill out, and once this is done, we will start getting all kinds of designs from designers across the world. So here's a quick example of a company called Fast 5. They submitted that form, and so what they get from all kinds of designers are different renditions of the logo. And so what they do is they usually pick the one they want. They select a winner. That design is then sent back over to you. You pay and you're done. And the process is pretty streamlined. And in most cases, you're going to be very satisfied with this approach. This is definitely the highest recommended. It does cost a little bit more than the others, but it really is hard to walk away from this and not like what you get. Okay, so we have our logo created. Now we are going to move on to step 2, which is choose your video template. So I'm at a site here called videohive.net, and it has all kinds of logo stings that we can choose from. There's a couple different categories. There's the Apple Motion logo stings, and if we check this out, you can see there's only 57 items versus the almost 4,000 items in the After Effects project files. I would definitely stay with the After Effects project files because you're going to have a bigger pool of designers to choose from. What you want to do here is go through all the different logo stings, eventually find the one that suits your taste, and then you'll want to drill into the selection of logo stings that you've chosen. I would say choose like 4 or 5. And then start to drill down into each one of them. And you want to pay attention to some of the different features that these stings offer. The first one is plugins. I like to make sure that my stings don't have any extra plugins. Basically, what plugins are extensions to After Effects, and they can be really pricey. And if you need to, in the future, have one designer re-edit your logo sting for any reason and they don't have that particular plugin, it can kind of be a headache. The next one is to look for sound effect files. Now, this isn't really a big thing. If it doesn't come with one, just be sure that you go download the external sound effect file that might come with this. Lots of times they'll point you to another sound file that they use to generate this. So it's a separate purchase, but they usually only run between $5 and $10. The next thing that you want to look at here is how long is the video clip. Personally, I like to keep them under 10 seconds, and even shorter is better. The reason for this is if you have a series of 4 to 5 minute videos that are back to back and you've broken them up on YouTube and you have this long logo sting at the beginning of each one, that can get really annoying. So keep your logo sting short, under 10 seconds, preferably 8 to 6 seconds. The next item that we want to look for here is full HD resolution. Make sure that it's 1080p and make sure that the CS files are 5 and above. Now the next thing that we want to do here is go ahead and drill into the user's portfolio. Now, one thing you want to pay attention to here is that the portfolio sales are a little bit different than the actual sales of the logo sting itself. Because if we go back here, we'll see that this one has no purchases versus the total portfolio sales. So don't get those intermixed. And just like we did with the logos, you want to make sure that the purchase count is low. Now, for the After Effects project files, this is really critical. You want to make sure that they are available for freelance, because in 99% of most cases, most people aren't going to have After Effects, and basically you don't want to mess with the IDE or the whole solution of using After Effects. I own it myself. It's extremely complex, and you really don't want to try to fumble around with it. So what you want to do here is you're going to go ahead and email this particular designer, and you're going to say, "Hi, I love your logo sting. However, I don't own a copy of After Effects. Would you be able to produce an MP4 of this sting for me with my company's name after I purchase your product? Thanks." You're going to send this email off to the designer, and in 95% of most cases, all of them say yes. Some will charge a small fee. Don't hesitate to pay the fee. It's definitely worth it. They'll send you back an MP4 of your logo sting, and you are pretty much set and you're ready to go. So that is the process for choosing your template. Okay, so we are ready to move on to step 3, which is to produce your logo sting. So we had just sent an email to the original After Effects designer asking them if they would be able to render the logo sting for us. And once we get buy-off from them, we go ahead and purchase their file, any audio file that they might need, and we would also attach the logo onto a separate email and send the information over to them. We would let them render our logo sting, and then we would get an MP4 back. And once we get that MP4 back, then we can drag it into a product like Camtasia Studio, which you see here. And basically what that allows us to do is to integrate the logo that they generated via the logo sting into any of our workflows. And now we have this easy video that we can pretty much easily use in any type of video workflow. And we just add that to the beginning. So that is a full rundown of integrating a logo sting into your workflow and how to get one into your videos. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and have a great day.